Today, we're talking about the Joola Perseus, legitimately the most hyped paddle release of all time. Look at this thing, it's honestly beautiful. Joola has been competing with Selkirk for the top spot as a paddle company for quite a while now. Ever since picking up Ben Johns, the #1 player in the world, Joola has been looking pretty incredible in the paddle space. But oddly enough, when you look around at some of the top paddle reviewers, you start to notice a trend of somewhat underwhelming feedback. And then you start to wonder, is it really worth the price? How does it compare to some of the other recent top-ranking paddle reviews? Well, in this video, you're going to have all of these questions answered, along with accurate spin results and power rankings. So without further ado, let's dink straight into it. The Joola Perseus is a thermoformed paddle with specialized foam injected into the perimeter of the paddle, which, according to Joola, adds weight and stability while increasing the sweet spot for consistent edge-to-edge performance. Nice. The Perseus comes in at a swing weight of 116 and does have one of the nicest feeling stock grips I have ever felt. Their FieldTech Pure Grip is a tacky elastomer material that helps absorb moisture and has a nice tackiness to it where I don't mind it while I'm sweating. I'm sure I'll put a tacky overgrip on it soon, but for now it's holding up just fine. Joola's CFS, or carbon friction surface technology, claims to utilize a more advanced, durable, long-lasting carbon Flex 5 textured surface, which harnesses raw power while providing maximum spin. Speaking of spin, let's get into the spin numbers. So I ran a spin analysis on my high frame rate camera. I took the average RPM over 20 different serves in one session. All serves must land in the court and they must be legal serves, of course. The Joola Perseus came in at 1796 RPM of spin. And yeah, I was just as confused as you are. I figured something must be wrong, so I looked up what Chris Olsen over at the Pickleball studio got for spin, and he got 1720 RPM. I can't tell you how absolutely confused I was about this. One of the absolute top dogs in the paddle space right now getting mediocre spin results. Well, let's compare that to the current top ranking paddles for spin. We have the Rhombus R3 Pulsar at 2120 RPM and the Volair Forza Mach 1 at 2168 RPM. Now sure, there can be some human error and some manufacturing variables which will cause variations in spin results, of course. But that's why I checked on a fellow reviewer's numbers, and it all seems to check out. Crazy. Anyways, let's jump into the power ranking. Power testing for me comes down to the feel of drives, serves, hand battles, and pop off the face. Pop being if the paddle was stationary and a ball flew into it, how far the ball would bounce off the stationary face. Power being when I'm driving the paddle into the ball, how hot it feels off the face when I'm applying my own force. So in my testing, I tested the power of this paddle doing tons of drives, serves, hand battles, and how easy or hard it was to reset the ball via the amount of pop I was feeling off the face. After all this testing, I compiled a score of 7.8 for power and 7.4 for pop for the Joola Perseus. This paddle does feel like it has a nice blend of power and pop specifically for a very control-oriented player. It's not topping the charts for power by any means, but it does feel like it has a solid ability to reset and not be like overly poppy in hand battles or when you're digging a ball out of a low spot. So I do have to give it some points there for the control-oriented player. To compare that to some of the current top-ranked paddles for power, we have the double black diamond coming in at 9.1 out of 10 for power and 7.8 out of 10 for pop. And we have the Volair Forza Mach 1 at 9.5 out of 10 for power and 8 out of 10 for pop. Okay, let's get into the sweet spot ranking. The sweet spot of this paddle is different. It feels extremely plush, and the small sweet spot it does have, like one of the best feelings I've ever felt. But then outside of that, it's very harsh and feels extremely punishing. The drop off around the sweet spot is steep, and if you miss that spot, your dinks, resets, and drives are going to suffer immensely. But the trade-off is when you do hit that spot, everything feels incredible. The sweet spot ranking I gave the Perseus is a 6.9 out of 10. Compared to some of the top ranked paddles right now in this category, we have the Volair Forza Mach 1 at 9 out of 10 and the 6.0 Double Black Diamond coming in at 9.1 out of 10. Alright, let's jump into the feel and the soft game ranking. The soft game and the feel of this paddle is again incredible when you hit the sweet spot, like just super plush, but extremely punishing when you don't. More punishing than a lot of other thermoformed paddles. Off-center hits when dinking went into the net more often than I'm used to, but again, like I keep saying, when I hit them in the center, it went exactly where I wanted. So with that in mind, I have to give this paddle a 7.4 out of 10. Solid, but for the non-professional player, a bit punishing. I can see why Ben Johns loves this paddle though. Having an incredible accuracy is what will truly unlock the potential of the Perseus. If you hit the sweet spot more often than not, in most scenarios, I would say this is one of the best paddles for you. Because when you do hit the sweet spot, it feels freaking awesome. So compared to some of the other top paddles in this category, we have the Volair Forza Mach 1 at 8.3 out of 10 and the Rhombus R3 Pulsar at a solid 8.6 out of 10. The Pulsar is one of the softest and best feeling thermoform paddles when it comes to the soft game, in my opinion. If you want to see a review for the new highest spinning paddle ever tested, click here. And if you want to see the top 5 highest spinning paddles in 2023, click here. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.